Hey, Tiger fans, Ben Rosenbaum here for the Towson Sports Network for another edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. As always, I'm joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Sonia LaMonica. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning again.
So, last time out, back up in Philly again, St. Joseph's, a 14-12 victory for the Tigers. Another battle. St. Joseph's kind of closed like a freight train there in the second half, but you were able to keep them at bay. Just your thoughts on a really hard-fought lacrosse game.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I know Mike Gaffigan's a wild one with St. Joseph. We knew going into that game like it was going to be tough because, they are a great team. They're physical. They have some good athletes. It was interesting. Halftime was the same score as it was last year. And last year we got stung by them. So we obviously knew coming back out that we've got to really keep our foot down and keep playing tough. But unfortunately, we let them go on a bit of a run. We've seen a bit of a pattern of letting teams go on some runs in the second half. So that's something that we're looking harder at to figure out what we can do better through that transition from first half to second half to stop a little bit of that bleeding, if you will. Whereas, you look at the first half and we were sort of trading goals. We'd always respond if they scored a goal. So that's sort of probably the biggest takeaway from that game, and just cleaning up a couple of just unforced errors that we've got to be sharper on. So, but it was great to see, our team, hold strong, and particularly our freshman, Lindsay, come up with a huge play late in the game.
Yeah, you kind of lead into it. Lindsay Marshall, a huge play for her late. She ends up being CAA Rookie of the Week. 2 goals, career best, 3 assists for her, as well as 8 draw controls. And we talk about Lindsay, I feel like, once a week on this show. Yeah. She should sponsor it at this point. I mean, she just continues to develop, and she's showing a knack. Yeah, she can score and she can get points, but she, like you said, she's making those gritty plays, and you're seeing the development continue to rise for Lindsay game by game.
Yeah, no doubt. I think confidence just continues to grow. She continues to learn, and she sets high standards for herself. And I think, again, just I guess our whole group, our offensive group out there, is really working well together. A lot of selfless play. They're moving the ball well. And we have these primary threats, but we've got players to play off of that. So really love the group we're working with. And Lindsay's definitely a pivotal piece of that. She's sort of transitioning back into a little bit of midfield. Is kind of moving forward. So it's nice to see her getting on the defensive end a little bit and just continuing to develop those defensive skills. She's a smart player. So we continue to see, those plays. And like I said, that big play late in the game to turn the ball over and go down and get a left-handed goal and then win the next draw. It sort of really solidified us controlling those last sort of few minutes of the game. So that just speaks to, her future, to be able to step up in pressure situations and to be able to play your best. That's the makings of a great player.
Blair Perry also with another great game for her. It's becoming natural for Blair. 5 goals, 7 draw controls, and a cost turnover for Blair. I want to go back to talking about the offense as a whole. You took, I think it was 30 total shots, and just 5 of them were not on goal. So those are either going in the net or you're making the goalie have to make a save. That's a high percentage to put on the cage, and you've got to be happy with at least the Tigers, that your Tigers are able to put the goalie in that position where you've got to make a save every single time down the field.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a credit to Coach Mike La, who's been, just spending more time on some shooting drills that we're doing. We've been sort of splitting up our team to work at 2 cages for shooting. Just we're seeing more reps. They're getting more reps individually, which is important and something that doesn't always happen if you're kind of operating with everybody at 1 cage. So, yeah, we're really, after just a couple of games, namely that Temple game where we just were struggling to sort of be strong finishers, we started to put a real emphasis on on that in practice through those weeks to where we are now, and we're seeing that pay off. So that's been a good adjustment sort of behind the scenes for our unit.
And then flipping back to the defense, you mentioned it a little earlier at the beginning that, obviously St. Joseph's able to come back and that you're noticing that trend with the Georgetown game as well. It's kind of a bend but don't break kind of thing going on. And I mean, that'll get you wins, but you don't want to live that way for sure. So we've talked about how talented this defensive unit is, and then with Carly between the pipes. What's kind of been the message between, you look at like Sammy Chenoweth and Aaron Williams and Reina Del Tuva, who've been on the team, what's kind of the message that they're saying amongst the players about what's going on in the second half?
Yeah, and I think, again, like I've mentioned, that transition from first half to second half, what are we doing at halftime? What's our mindset? Do we need to sort of address that and, think critically about how we're going into the second half mentally? And that's been some of the conversations that we've had, and some of those defenders have led that conversation too and bringing up some of these points. So, I think there's definitely, an awareness that, we need to figure that out. And that's coming from both, coaching staff and some of those defensive players as well, which is great to see. And I don't think it's a problem that can't be fixed. We've just got to continue to sort of work through it and understand the why, and then what the skills or the strategy to sort of counter that and reset our focus coming into the game and focusing on what we can control, not maybe the outcome of the game too early in the game. And that might be part of what's going on. We're thinking about the outcome a little too early than we should be. We've got to focus really on just how we would when we come out in the first half. Like, what's my job right now on my matchup? What am I focused on defensively, individually, and making sure that I've got my head focused on that, not on the scoreboard and some of those things that can easily creep in. So it's not an easy thing to do. But these are the skills and things that we are working hard at this elite level to continue to address and be really good at.
The athleticism of this team, of this roster, is far and away impressive. Mike Gaffigan, who you mentioned, handed me a stat yesterday. 13 different Tigers at one point this season have reached over, or have been clocked at over 17 miles per hour during this season. Olivia Malamphy's been the fastest 3 different games. Both Carrie and Nicole Liucci, Blair Paris, Reina Del Tuva, Caitlin Thornton, Lindsay Marshall, Aaron Williams, Nat Miller, Julia Porter, Molly Lynch, Shelby Stack, and Nikki Sliwak, all over 17 miles per hour. Malamphy has the high at 18.3. When you see those numbers and see what that can do in a transition or recovering on defense and leading a break, and that, I mean, that's such a dangerous weapon for a team to have. That it's just so that you have so many players that are so fast and can really kill you with speed.
Yeah, that's a long list that you reel off. That's the fun stuff. They're fun stats. We love to see that, and our strength coach, has made a point of posting those up after games for our team. So I think it's pretty neat, and you want to be on that list, right? I think, truthfully, we need to use it a little more than we even have been. And so, that's something that, we're continuing to sort of work through and find areas where we can use our speed and show our speed a little more. I think we are showing it, but we could use that a little more. As that, a famous saying goes, like, why run slow when you can run fast?
All right, and that'll do it for us today on the Tiger Lacrosse Report. Coach, thanks for taking some time for us today.
Thanks, Ben, as always.